What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Box Office Banner and Cult Flick Symposium, and I just got out of an early screening of The Blackening. I need to scoot this way, don't I? Sorry, my shit's all fucked up. I had my brother in here the other day. Anyways, though, what are we talking about today? The Blackening. This is one I was kind of hyped for because, you know, I like a good horror comedy from time to time. I'm not a huge fan of them, but they're usually always at least fun. And I love slasher movies, and this had a little bit of, slasher vibe to it, and there's been a little bit of a slasher resurgence here, so I was maybe hoping for a little bit more in the slasher department than I should have. Is that to say I didn't get it here? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying going into the movie, maybe I had a little bit more of biting off than I could chew. You know, like I was maybe just putting a little too much stock into it. But, needless to say, the main point of this movie is, was it a good fucking time? Because obviously it looks like it's a fun fucking movie with a little bit of, or actually maybe at least a good amount of horror sprinkled in. And I did. This was a good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. All the characters, all the actors, I thought did really well. It wasn't just a fun movie. It was a funny movie. Everybody in my theater was laughing pretty damn much, like almost the whole time. I didn't laugh out loud a whole lot, but I'm not necessarily somebody that does that, but I even did find myself laughing out loud a few times. And I really enjoyed all the jokes. Now, a lot of these jokes are dialed up, as I call them, I don't want to say executive checklist jokes, but that's kind of what I'm getting into here. Basically it's just like, is this like this? Is this like this? Is this like this? Where there's, a message behind them. Obviously it's playing on a lot of the tropes that black people are mistreated in horror movies, things of that nature, touching politically as well, and let it play out amongst the horror movie as a representation of that, and even sometimes right in your face. If you came into this movie thinking that that wasn't going to be in the movie, you're in the wrong theater. Now, me personally, there's certain movies where they do this and it just feels like, again, the executive checklist is what I call it. There's a guy in there just like, does it have a gay guy? Does it have this person looking bad as a white man? Is the black guy strong and prospering? Like whatever it might be. Not to say I disagree with these things. Like I have motherfuckers that look at me just like, so you're against all that? No, I'm not at all. But sometimes it feels like it is overtaking the actual story, where that is becoming the main narrative and the story is way down here. But when you have a good story and then that's like in the background, like in a lot of like, Jordan Peele movies, stuff like that, then it's like when you rewatch, you're like, oh man, it's really cool how they did that. But sometimes it can be too much and overtaking it. This one definitely puts that at the forefront, but here's the thing. You knew that going into this movie, so it is not bad. The whole movie you knew from the beginning was going to be playing up to this type of stuff, which makes for a really fun time, and which makes for me personally a really welcome time when they dive into this stuff. Because once again, it's not that I don't disagree, or like that I disagree with this type of stuff. It's that I don't want to feel like it's overtaking the movie. This specific movie, it makes sense to. So if I can already tell you, there's probably going to be, those lame motherfuckers that are just like, well, oh my God, really? They really dialed this up? Yes, they did, because that is exactly what this movie was supposed to be, and applause for that, because if I did not get that in this movie, I would feel like they're holding back, and they did not do that, and it was really fun. So you're definitely going to have your like random motherfuckers just like, oh yeah, so it's just like this now in America, huh? Blah, blah, blah. Those are primarily, I think, going to be the haters for this movie. Obviously, some people might not like it, but there's probably going to be a lot of motherfuckers that come out and are just like, okay, bro, like, seriously, chill out. Like, it's a movie. Calm down. So, personally, I absolutely love this movie in terms of how fun it was. But one thing did hold it back. Actually, a few things held it back for me. And a lot of it is creative choices. I don't want to go too deep into said creative choices because I don't want to spoiler anything here. I would say spoil anything here. But one thing in particular that happens, I'll word my way around it, is there's a creative choice that makes sense amongst this movie. It makes sense for this movie. Again, playing into these type of stereotypes and breaking them and or representing them at the forefront and pushing them to a complete head. It makes complete sense within this movie, so I get why they did it. But at the same time, though, there's something in the beginning that completely contradicts that. So it's like that message doesn't have the same power. And then again, I don't think it's some huge message. It's not a huge message. It's just a stereotype that they're either playing into or playing out of that really represents and makes the movie, its own, thing. What really makes it, fun. And I could see how some people think it's really fun. But for me, I was kind of disappointed, especially looking at the beginning of the movie. And I'm just like, okay, I get what you're doing here. But if you did this in the beginning, how does this even work? You should have went this way with it. So you probably won't know what I'm talking about. Maybe you'll watch it and you'll be like, oh, that's what he's talking about. But this particular thing held it back. It's going to be fun to see if you're going to be watching now, like, what was he talking about? Let's see if you get it. And also, this could be a huge tipping point when you go watch the movie. The little twists they have in the movie, every one of these movies have to have some type of twist. There's nothing major here. I'm not going to say what it is. But also the twist I saw from a mile away because of them doing this in this movie. Because I was like, wait a minute, if this is happening, then that has to be that, which took away from the ending. Also, let me just say this. This isn't really a spoiler. It's just about the tone of the movie. If you don't want to know the tone of the movie, then this is your chance to leave. If you don't mind just knowing the tone and feel of the movie, not a huge deal, right? But maybe it is for you, then keep listening. For me, they didn't dial up enough into the slasherdom of the movie. Yes, I wanted funny. Yes, I wanted fun. But by the end of it, I didn't want like jokey, we survived type of shit, or this person survived, or this grouping of people survived, whatever it is by the end of the movie. I wanted them to be, just completely scared, shitless. I wanted them to be freaked out by the end of the movie. Like, I wanted not like a ha-ha, like, yeah, bro, we made it type shit. I didn't want that. I wanted it to flat out be just like, oh my God, I am scared shitless right now. I wanted more of that. Obviously, they're scared shitless. You see in the trailer, but it's played in a jokey way, which, again, I didn't want that to leave entirely, but I wanted there to be scenes that were more serious in nature, whereas, like, it might catch you off guard for a second. You're like, oh, shit, like, it's going down now. And the tone never went there. It was really goofy throughout, which is fine. I think a lot of people even expected that. Me, personal preference. I wanted all that goofiness. I wanted all that fun. But when it came down to it, when, the shit hit the fan, dude, when the fit hit the shan, I really wanted there to be more serious, like, oh man, this is a flat out slasher right now, which I knew it wouldn't be flat out, but I wanted moments that were flat out slashery. So that was a negative for me. But overall, guys, this movie, I can't say anything really negative, because even though the little things I touched on, they were not negative by any means. It was more just like, damn, I'm mad they didn't do this. Damn, I'm mad they didn't do this. But it was like, not like, why did they do this and I'm mad that they did this. It's more of, why didn't they do this? But, man, I get it. I do. But if they would have tweaked this could have been like, right there in the mix for, top 5 of the year for me type of shit. But instead, I'm going to remember as just like, you remember the Black? That was a funny movie from that. I forget about that movie. Yeah, that was pretty fucking good. That is, solid. We want that in a movie. But I thought it had the potential to be like, oh, shit. Like, I was ready to throw it on every year type of shit if they just made these couple tweaks. But again, nevertheless, solid movie, funny movie, good characters, fun tropes, fun stereotypes and plays on stereotypes. Make you laugh. I mean, there's nothing really, that the trailer doesn't sell, other than the fact that I think the villain was actually surprisingly kind of creepy looking, and I thought they could have dialed that up a little bit more. And then the other thing I kind of touched on that I don't want to give away, that they dove into a little too much with the stereotype and or anti-stereotype. You'll see that, though, when you see the movie. Maybe you'll disagree, maybe you'll agree. But if you're looking for this movie just to be a fun, crazy play on stereotypes, watch all these black people like, we can't all die first. I think they might even say that in the damn trailer. Then you're going to have a blast with this one just like I did. And if you're not expecting as much as I did, you're going to absolutely love this movie. I couldn't get enough of it. Definitely check out The Blackening. It is a 7.6 out of 10. Like I said, want it to be that upper echelon. It stays in the really good territory for me, but there's nothing wrong with really good. Had a blast with this movie. Definitely check it out. Oh, one last tidbit, though. The one thing I laughed at more than anything in this movie, I have to tell this story. There's a guy next to me. There's a scene where, I'm not going to tell you the scene because I don't want to give away anything, but it's one of the few pop-out scenes in the movie. And I don't know if maybe because there wasn't that many pop-out scenes that when this one happened, it tripped the guy out. But literally, like, right as this pop-out scene happened, everybody kind of leaned back in their seat. And this guy leaned back in his seat with an audible gasp and farted really fucking loudly. Like he went, huh. And I immediately, being the immature motherfucker that I am, started dying laughing. And I was trying to keep my composure like the rest of, the mature adult theater. This guy didn't even pay no mind to it. He's past it. He's like, oh, it's a fart. Or he's like, I hope nobody heard that shit. Whereas everybody else is like, God damn, like, we heard that. And then moved on. Me, I'm like, I heard that. And I started laughing. And then I started thinking about the thought of I'm laughing at the thought of him knowing that I'm laughing now and I cannot quit it. And when I start laughing, it's hard to get me laughing, but when I start, I cannot stop. So there's actually like a small portion of this movie I literally had to leave the theater, get my bearings, come back because like I was like about to ruin it for everybody because I was so caught off guard by this man's jump fart that he did. But yeah, funny, stupid story that happened. Never had anything quite like that happen in the theater. God bless your heart, man. Anyways, go see The Blackening. Love you guys. Peace.